here in Richmond. Sean Robertson along with John Feinstein. I mentioned the importance of this game for VCU. A win tonight over the Patriots would give them sole possession of first in the Atlantic 10. St. Louis, who is tied with the Rams, are currently on a bye tonight. They're not playing. Dayton a game back, and you got a bunch of other teams within 2.5 games of first place, to include George Masont. Right now 4-3 in the conference, 2 games back of VCU.
What's more important for VCU is you would like to go into the tournament feeling comfortable that you're going to be in the field on Selection Sunday, even if you don't win the tournament. VCU felt last year, Mike Rhodes thought they needed to win 1 game to get in. They ended up losing to Richmond, who went on to win the tournament and got into the NCAAs. So the more wins you can pile up between now and the end of the regular season, March 4th, the better off you're going to feel going to Brooklyn.
And there had been talk going into, I guess, conference play in December that the A-10 streak of years of having multiple bids could get snapped this year.
Yeah.
Looking at the standings right now, maybe a possibility 2 at least could get in right now.
Yeah, I think the top 3 all have shots at large bids. The problem for the A-10 was they did not have a great preseason in terms of quality wins. What do they call it? Quad 1 wins.
Yeah.
And that was a problem last year too, because if Davidson had won the tournament, the streak would have ended last year. So I know that everybody in the conference wants to see the top teams play well to ensure multiple bids.
Starting lineups for George Masont. We talked about our player to watch for the Patriots, Josh Oduro, team's leading scorer this season at just under 15 points tonight. He has Devin Cooper, Victor Bailey Jr., a great three-point shooter, Justin Fernandez, a former Monacan chief out of Chesterfield County here in this area, and Devin Dinkins, the starting lineup for George Masont.
Fernandez is starting in place of Ronald Polite, the third, who's had a couple of injuries in the last week, an ankle, a quad. He may still play tonight, but he's not starting.
VCU starting lineup, Ace Baldwin, Jayden Nunn in the backfield, Nick Kern, Brandon Johns Jr., and also Jalen Deloach. This starting 5, since Mike Rhodes inserted Nick Kern in the lineup, 4-0 in this stretch of winning 5 in a row to be at atop the A-10 standings along with St. Louis.
Mike Rhodes likes the intensity that Kern brings to the floor, and he also likes bringing Jameer Watkins off the bench because he can give them a boost offensively, which he certainly did Friday night against Richmond.
VCU controlling the opening tip. They look inside to Brandon Johns going up against Cooper. Lost it out of bounds, and George Masont will get it.
Johns needs to be more alert when he turns to the basket there, looking for a pass, not necessarily a shot, although he's certainly capable of scoring from the low post. He has settled in here as a very important part of this team.
VCU 11-1 this year at the Siegel Center, but George Masont has won 3 of the last 5 times they traveled here to the Stew.
George Masont did win last year here. They won both games against George Masont last year.
Here is Fernandez looking to Oduro, has it inside, and gives the Patriots their first 2.
Well, what happened there was the help came a little bit late with Kern, and he just sort of whiffed on the pass. Easy basket for Oduro.
First team all A-10 last year was Oduro, the first Patriot ever to receive that honor.
George Masont coming out in a zone here, and that's 2 turnovers in a row for VCU against that zone.
Ted Valentine, Tim Clougherty, Justin Porterfield, the 3 officials.
It's a
tonight.
big-time officiating crew. Of course, everybody knows TV Teddy, who's been worked in 10 Final Fours in his career.
3-pointer missed by Cooper and knocked out of bounds by VCU, and it will stay with the Patriots with a 20 on the shot clock.
Ted Valentine's been officiating for 41 years, and if we get a close-up of him at some point, the man is in shape.
Yes, he is.
He still works at his craft.
There's a good look at Kim English, the head coach of George Masont in his second year. Great standout while he was at Missouri in his playing days.
He played in the NBA. He's in shape too, but he's only 35.
Here is Oduro against Johns. Here's Fernandez for 3. The rebound to Deloach. VCU looking to run, but George Masont got back on D. Here's Johns losing control, and that ball is out of bounds. 3rd straight turnover for VCU in as many possessions. Down by 2 with just under 90 seconds gone by.
VCU looking not good on offense so far. And you mentioned it, George Masont doing a good job of getting back and forcing them to play half court. And now VCU in the full court press against Masont. Dinkins gets it across midcourt.
Here's Fernandez, as I mentioned, played his first 3 high school years at Monacan before transferring to IMG in Florida.
IMG is like a football, basketball factory at the high school level.
Back to Oduro with 5 to shoot against Deloach. Good up fake, another up fake, and the jump hook is good as he has all 4 George Masont points.
Deloach's defense was good there. I mean, he forced him to take a tough shot. There was no double team, and Oduro just made it.
He's played well against the Rams in his last 3 games, averaging nearly 20 points per game in that stretch.
And that's what I mean. When he stays out of foul trouble, he will put up big numbers. That's why the 14.9 points per game is a little deceiving.
Got a foul on George Masont as Brandon Johns tried to maneuver inside, and Oduro picks up the foul, his first.
And that's the thing that Kim English worries about with him, that he does tend to get in foul trouble. And they have good big guys on the bench to come in for him, but they're not as good as Oduro.
Nick Kern comes out, and Jameer Watkins in for the first time.
2.5 minutes in.
Our player to watch tonight for VCU. Here's Baldwin sneaking inside. Gets his own miss.
How high was he to get that rebound?
Rams look to reset. Baldwin again. Rams' first basket of the night coming from their A-10 first-team selection this offseason, Ace Baldwin.
Got a nice ball screen there that freed him up. Kim English said that when Baldwin goes toward the lane, he wants a crowd around him, with good reason.
Cooper breaking the press. They look to Oduro, who lost control, and VCU gets it on the Patriots' first turnover of the night.
Just didn't catch it, went right off his knee. Looked like he was about to go up for a dunk, and I think he, as wide receivers do in football sometimes, he started to go up before he actually had the ball.
VCU with a chance to tie here, as we're coming about 3.5 minutes gone in the first half. Shot clock is at 10. Here's Baldwin in the lane. Baldwin gets his own miss. Another
Oduro
reset.
might have gotten away with a foul there.
And Watkins hits a 3.
Watkins picking up where he left off Friday night at the Robbins Center.
Watkins shooting about 31% from behind the arc. He gives VCU their first lead. Here comes the turnover. Rams have numbers. 3-on-1 to Deloach.
Good vision there by Baldwin, seeing Deloach as the trail on the left side. And those are the kind of turnovers that Kim English said his team simply can't afford.
5-0 run for VCU. That's exactly what Coach English said. He said he will want his players to kick the ball in the stands before he gives up a
throw it in the third row.
Here's Dinkins from downtown to give the Patriots the lead.
That's a big shot by Dinkins there to calm things down for the Patriots.
Check it, that was a long 2, and we're tied at 7.
Still calm things down for the Patriots.
Because the crowd was getting involved after that last made basket. Watkins got bumped. Nice feed
pass.
to Deloach.
Nice pass. He recognized the help and found Deloach wide open.
Another big stat for VCU in that win against Richmond was points in the paint.
Ted Valentine having a conversation with Mike Rhodes there.
I
don't think it was about Ruth's Chris.
Fernandez long on the 3.
That's Robbie Robinson's thing.
Yes, yeah.
Love Ruth's Chris, by the way.
It's a good spot. Here's Nunn from distance. Ring it up.
Cooper gave him that shot. He was right there and said, go ahead and shoot. And
Nunn shoots
said,
44%
okay.
from behind the arc. That's 3rd in the Atlantic 10. He's a good 3-point shooter, and VCU has a 5-point lead.
That's a hand check. And I hate that call. I know the officials are told to make it because that's what the NCAA wants, but why do you stop the game when it didn't affect the play? But Tim Clockerty did what he's been told to do.
Timeout on the floor. 14:40 to go in the first half. VCU with a 5-point lead over George Masont, and it was a big part of it was the defense led by Jayden Nunn.
Oh, we know how important the defense is to VCU night in and night out. And there you see the steal and the nice pass from Baldwin to Deloach for a shot that if I was his height, I could make.
VCU shooting 71% so far from the field, 5 of 7.
Well, once they started getting shots up and not turning the ball over, they've been very effective on offense.
George Masont shooting 50% at 3 of 6 from the field. And VCU a perfect 2 of 2 from behind the arc. Jameer Watkins hit a 3, and also Jayden Nunn. As VCU's head coach Mike Rhodes talking to TV Teddy Valentine, one of the officials, and he's altered his lineup after that timeout as Zeb Jackson along with David Shriver in the game for the first time.
As you know, Mike will play 10 or 11 guys before halftime. The near walk by Cooper.
Saquon Singleton wearing number 15 in for George Masont. The only sub from Coach English after the timeout as Victor Bailey drills one from distance. He shoots 49% from behind the arc and has pulled the Patriots to within 2.
Well, that's what I meant in the open about guarding the three-point line, because they will take those shots and they will make quite a few of them, especially Bailey. Bailey's biggest games have come in Mason's biggest wins this year. It's a lefty, so you know he can shoot.
Of course. Got a couple of lefties on the floor right now. Nice pass inside to Deloach. Goes off the window and finds 2 for his 6-point.
Counts no matter how many times it rolls around the rim.
Deloach off to a strong start here in this first half as he has 6. VCU up by 4. Here's Bailey looking inside to Singleton against Shriver. Had it blocked by Watkins. Singleton got it back. No. Oduro gets an offensive rebound and foul as Deloach picks up the whistle.
Yeah, he fouled him from behind as he got that ball off the offensive glass. Mike Rhodes has talked about the fact that one of the reasons for this team's improvement has been their rebounding in the last month.
And the guy at the line for George Masont, one of the best offensive rebounding players, not only in the A-10, but in the country.
He has a weakness, though. It's his free throw shooting, only 60%. So he swishes.
He looked good there.
Yeah.
He averages just over 5 rebounds on the offensive end a night this season for George Masont, as Deloach will take a seat for Brandon Johns.
I'm sorry. You're almost better putting him on the line, even though he made that first one, than letting him go back up and dunk when he gets an offensive rebound.
Splits a pair for Zeb Jackson to grab the rebound. Oduro leads the conference in offensive rebounds per night this season.
He's so quick to the ball, quick jumper.
Here's Watkins going up against Cooper. Shriver harassed by Singleton. Rams now with 10 to shoot.
Shriver shot the ball so well. There's a foul. Ted Valentine has Dinkins with a hand check. But Shriver shot it so well lately that you got to guard him the minute he comes out of the locker room.
Since the early part of the season, he's been basically since the Davidson game, Shriver has been lights out. In the last 5 games, he's shot 68% from behind the arc, 19 of 28.
That's roughly the equivalent of shooting 100% from inside the arc.
Here's Johns, a couple of up fakes and a foul. And Jenica Ojiako, number 20, picks up the foul for George Masont.
He is in right now for Oduro. And they do have depth at that center position, as I said. When Oduro gets in foul trouble, Ojiako has done a very good job. So is Henry coming off the bench for them.
So here's Brandon Johns at the line for VCU. He's one of their better free throw shooters as he missed the first one, 80%.
I'm glad I didn't point that out before that shot.
I didn't mention the stat until the shot was missed.
You did not jinx him.
He is 13th in the conference in free throw shooting. And splits a pair. 15-11, VCU with a 4-point lead. And here comes the pressure against Dinkins.
The thing about the pressure for VCU is if you get a turnover, sure, it's a bonus. But what it does is it slows the other team down in terms of getting into their offense.
Cooper missed on the long 3. VCU looking to extend their lead. Baldwin from the elbow.
You cannot let Ace Baldwin just dribble to the foul line and take an open jumper like that.
You hear the term going downhill. Baldwin is great going downhill. He did, and then showed the mid-range.
Well, and the other term is stop the basketball on defense, and they never stop the basketball.
6-point VCU lead here, 17-11. Ojiyako, pass was deflected, almost stolen. Here's Bailey for three. Rebound to Watkins.
Baldwin didn't get a hand on it. He certainly changed the arc of it a little bit.
Here's Shriver, had his shot partially blocked, and now they got a whistle.
Wow.
As Shriver got hit on the wrist. Tim Clougherty blew the whistle, and that's going to be on Cooper.
From here, it looked like a good block, but Tim Clougherty's a better ref than I am.
Timeout on the floor, 11:49 to go. David Shriver will shoot free throws when we come back with VCU ahead by 6. Back here at the Siegel Center, 11:49 in the first half, and VCU with a 6-point lead over George Mason. And before we went to break, David Shriver getting fouled, or so we thought. Tim Clougherty.
Well, so Tim Clougherty thought that's what was important.
He was on the opposite side, blew that whistle on Devon Cooper, and David Shriver were going to get, and I believe, 3 free throws when VCU and George Mason come back on the court.
Tim didn't signal 3, so I'm not sure if he was inside the arc or outside the arc when Cooper fouled him. Cooper apparently fouled him.
We talked about at the beginning of the broadcast the importance of this game for VCU. 5 wins in a row, 10 of their last 11. They're currently tied with St. Louis for the top spot in the conference, both at 5-1. It will be a 3-shot foul for David Shriver when we break the huddle. And for them to be where they are now, from where we saw them probably middle part of December, right before Christmas break, huge improvement for VCU.
Well, after that Jacksonville loss here, things were not looking great. And Mike Rhodes said he had to come to Jesus with his team. And he said, just play the way we know you can play. Be the players we know you can be. And they took it to heart. They beat Howard that weekend, and they've gone from there. Howard's a pretty good team, by the way.
Yes, they are. We talked about that when they were here. That MEAC conference is going to be really, really interesting, especially now moving into their tournament in Norfolk in the early part of March. Shriver makes 2 of 3. Those are only his 15th free throw attempts this entire season. He came in at 9 of 12.
Well, that's not shocking since he shoots from outside all the time.
And he's been really good shooting from behind the arc in the last 5 games. VCU up by 8, their largest lead of the night. Ojiyako misses from in tight. Watkins the rebound for VCU.
And they don't feel they have to double team Ojiyako. He's just not the offensive player that Oduro is. I'm surprised Oduro's not back in the game yet, but he's at the scorer's table now.
And Jackson hits a 3. That breaks the drought for him from behind the arc. Just 7 of 33 before that make. And VCU now with a double-digit lead on the Patriots, and Baldwin creating havoc on the turnover.
You always have to know who's behind you.
Here's Watkins faking the 3, goes to the basket, scoops it up. Ojiyako the rebound for George Mason.
That might have been cause for Kim English to take his use it or lose it if that shot had gone in.
That's at least 3 live ball turnovers in this half for the Patriots. Dinkins inside finds 2.
Very nice move there.
Young man from Gonzaga High School in the nation's capital.
Baldwin with that steal from behind a minute ago reminds me, Jim Valvano used to say to his players, when you go by someone, don't think they go to the hot dog stand. They're going to come up behind you and try to steal the ball. In and out for Baldwin.
Rebound to Singleton for George Mason. They're down 9 as we're almost at the halfway point of the first half.
Kim English not happy with his offense right now.
Here's Dinkins forcing the action.
Watkins
another rebound. 3 boards for Jameer Watkins coming off his 3rd career double-double Friday night in the win against Richmond. Baldwin left open for 3. Rebound to Fernandez.
Not like him to miss 2 open shots in a row.
Fernandez against Shriver. Around to Bailey left open. That's a miss. A Giaco an offensive rebound. And Bailey had it go all. Thought it was going to go off his leg. As Tim Clark said, it went off of Watkins.
Still a nice deflection by Watkins, though, to mess with the offense. That's why deflections are so important. For one thing, they let George Masont get Oduro back in the game.
I was going to say, he's back in. Cam Johnson from out of Charles City County. Local product, wearing number 11 for George Masont. And also Devon Cooper back in for the Patriots.
It's looking like they're going to be without Polite tonight. And that's a big deal for them.
Polite came in averaging just under 11 points a game this season. That'll be a big loss if he can't play.
He's also their best ball handler.
Here's Oduro muscling inside against Kern.
He is a tough, if he catches that ball down low, unless you double him and try to steal it from him when he puts it on the floor, he is a really hard guard.
Great pass by Zeb Jackson, and Shriver will be rewarded with 2 free throws. Great vision there by the Michigan transfer.
And there's Shriver out of character going to the basket and getting fouled. As you said, he doesn't get fouled very much.
Yeah, when he attempted those 3 free throws earlier in the half, number 13, 14, and 15 free throw attempts this season, and he's got 2 more
and this is game
right now.
21.
Yeah. He was a 75% shooter from the stripe before tonight.
Well, he's
3 or 4 right now.
My math's not very good, but that's 75%.
One more will give him 80 now. I do know that.
Yeah, even I know that.
There it is. Deloach is also back in, as now Coach English will go to his bench and pick up Malik Henry, the junior from out of Longview, Texas.
Surprised they let him get in the game because he wasn't at the scorer's table before the second shot.
TV Teddy was right on that. He told him, make sure you get to the scorer's table officially.
Teddy Valentine doesn't miss much.
Here's Cooper right down the lane. Back tap to Nunn. VCU leading by 9. Looking to increase their lead by Jackson. Kern leaping up for an offensive rebound. Here is Nunn inside. Offensive foul. No basket.
And when you take off that way, if you put your head or your shoulder down, you're almost always going to get called for the offensive foul.
Tim Calargany right on the baseline to call that offensive foul.
Shockingly enough, the VCU fans didn't like the call.
Nunn picked up his first. 3rd team foul for VCU. George Masont with 5. That ball is knocked away by Jackson. Here come the Rams in transition, and Cam Johnson bumps Jackson to the floor and gets the foul.
Well, Cam Johnson came up from behind. As I mentioned before, you got to be alert for the guy from behind, but when he reached in, he got the wrist, not just the ball. 6-team foul, so VCU will shoot the rest of the half.
One more get
Rams
them in the
only
bonus.
have 3.
Ace Baldwin now back in for VCU to replace Jackson. And it seems like, in speaking to Coach Rose earlier this week, we mentioned earlier, 7 new guys on this roster. They have becoming more comfortable with their roles. Jackson looks like he's getting really, really comfortable with this group. Is now a turnover by VCU.
Yeah, Ace Baldwin drove into the crowd that Kim English wants him to see whenever he goes in the lane. That time he had a couple guys and he turned it over.
Cooper was trying to work off the Oduro screen, and he spots up for 3.
Oduro can make a 3, but if you're Mike Rhodes, you're more than happy to let him shoot 3s.
Here is Nunn.
Whoa, that was a tough shot. We agree on that.
Stereo.
Yeah. When I see Oduro step outside for a 3, I'm reminded of Dean Smith, who used to say to his players, when Ralph Sampson stepped outside for a 3, let him shoot it. Because the best thing that can happen is he'll make it, and then he'll stay outside and shoot from there. A lot less dangerous from there than he is from inside the key.
Deloach just picked up his 2nd foul. That's a big blow. We'll take a timeout with 7:42 to go. VCU up by 11. VCU leading by 11 over George Mason, 26-15. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, and our entire Rams Unlimited crew here at the Stew to see if VCU can maintain at least a share of first place in the A-10.
In the loss column.
Yeah, if they win tonight, they would have sole possession, given that St. Louis is off tonight.
The loss column, the all-important loss column, as they call it. They both still have one loss.
Absolutely. And they will see.
They play each other twice.
They will play each other twice. They will see St. Louis a week from Friday in St. Louis. That first big meeting between the Billikens and Rams will be next Friday night as part of the Friday night showcase of the A-10. But this is a showcase here on a Wednesday night.
If you're on the game, it certainly is.
The I-95 rivalry between George Mason and VCU.
And this is a rivalry that goes back to the CAA.
Looked like Brandon Johns lost his footing and Oduro took advantage. Somebody lost their shoe. It looked like Shriver lost his shoe.
Shriver lost his shoe. Johns lost his footing, and Oduro scored. That's how that played.
9 points for Josh Oduro as David Shriver making sure that shoe is tightened.
I had trouble learning how to tie my shoes because I'm lefty.
Ah.
And they had to find, my parents had to find a lefty teacher because it's completely opposite of what you think if you're righty.
That's why John likes the lefty shooters.
I love lefty shooters. I love everything lefty, starting with Lefty Drizel.
Here's Baldwin. Nice
Good
look
pass.
inside to Kern. Over Oduro for the basket.
And Oduro being careful there, not wanting to pick up a second foul. Rather give up a basket.
Kern's first field goal, causing havoc in the backcourt against Cooper.
Havoc. I've heard that word in this building.
Once or twice. Believe that is trademark. But they're allowing us to say that on this broadcast.
Well, because it's VCU, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Under 10 to shoot for Oduro against Shriver.
Shaka Smart, who invented havoc, half game out of first place in the Big East at Marquette.
And Oduro right now having his way inside. He has 11 of Mesa's 19.
We talked about the fact that the only way to really slow him down is to get him in foul trouble.
Here's Johns for three. Popped in and out. Malik Henry the rebound. Baldwin almost got a turnover in the backcourt. He's a one-man wrecking crew against Mason. And we got a 10-second violation.
Yeah, Oduro was trying to get a timeout because he saw the 10 seconds coming up, and none of the officials saw him. Because I was looking at Oduro, the clock was at 21, and he's calling timeout,
and
but they didn't give it to him.
Teddy Valentine is now going to the scores table to review that, but he was also giving a stern look
at Kim English.
And also Dennis Felton, one of his assistants, who also has been a head coach in college basketball. George, I remember, he was down there for a few years. But we'll watch to see how Baldwin became a one-man wrecking crew on defense, and was that not a 10-second call on George Mason?
Well, there's no question if there's no timeout, it was a 10-second call. But Oduro is trying to call timeout. He's not in our camera range right now.
Now, Dennis Felton, who is Coach English's assistant, was saying that English was asking for a timeout. Now, the question was, did Teddy hear it? Because I didn't see he signaled the timeout. We can watch it on their sidelines if anybody signaled a timeout.
Watch Oduro here in the middle of the screen. See?
Yep, there it is right there. Oduro did call it.
He asked for it.
But Teddy Valentine did not see it, and the 10-second violation stands.
Yeah.
VCU will have possession.
Remember, when you call a timeout, you don't always get it right away. Sometimes you call a timeout and it takes a second or so for the official to see it and actually signal it. And I think that's what – I don't think any of the officials saw it.
No. But we did see it on the replay. Oduro was calling for the timeout.
He was definitely calling for it.
But the play stands. A turnover by George Mason, and VCU now has it inside to Johns against Oduro.
It's a walk.
And that will be a turnover for VCU, just their 6th.
Takes work to get called for traveling nowadays.
Remember, they had 3 in their first 3 possessions, so only 3 since.
Right.
As we're inside 6 minutes.
Oh.
VCU up by 9. Here's Oduro. Oduro has 11 so far in the half.
John's got a hand in there, kind of forced him backwards, and that's why he had to pass the ball.
And a block on Shriver.
Yep.
That's VCU's 5th team foul, Shriver's 1st.
So, non-shooting foul. By the way, you mentioned Dennis Felton. When he was at Georgia, you might remember during the SEC tournament, Lightning closed down the the Dome.
Yeah.
And they went and played at Georgia Tech on the weekend, and Georgia won 3 games in 2 days. 3 games in 2 days to win the SEC tournament.
Because they were not expected to go to the tournament.
No, they were like a 7th seed.
Tie-up caused by VCU. It'll stay with George Masont. That, one of those legendary stories in the SEC tournament. The roof came off and blew off at the Georgia
Dome. It was a hurricane.
Yeah. And Dennis Felton led those Bulldogs to an NCAA berth, winning that title that year.
Rick Barnes, who Dennis worked for at Clemson, called him that day and said, that may be the greatest achievement ever in basketball. It's right up there.
It is. Shot clock didn't reset on that miss. Oduro hoists one up and another air ball. Another shot clock violation on George Masont.
Yeah, I'd like to see in a situation like that, the officials just let the team that gets the ball keep playing, because they could get a fast break out of it rather than having the inbound. And they have the option to do that.
Jameer Watkins back in. And Christian Furman sees his first action tonight for VCU. Yeah, that's usually a judgment call.
It is a judgment
on,
call, yeah.
Like maybe how long they've had possession of it after the shot clock horn goes off. But
usually what happens is if the horn goes off before someone has possession, they will call the 30-second violation. Thought that one was close.
VCU leading by 9, under 5 minutes to go in the first half. Good to have you with us wherever you're watching VCU basketball this evening. Under 10 to shoot for the Rams. Baldwin against Bailey, down the lane, goes window. Tip no good by Furman, and the rebound to Malik Henry.
Good defense there by the Patriots, making Baldwin take a tough shot. Put him in a crowd.
Here's Henry down low, had it blocked from behind by Johns and partially by Furman.
Yeah, half the guys in white were there.
Here is Nunn. He'll draw foul. That's going to go against Malik Henry. 8th team foul against the Patriots. Henry's first. 2 free throws coming by Jayden Nunn, as that was a shooting foul.
Tim English trying to steal some minutes on the bench for Oduro, not because he tires, but because he doesn't want him to get that second foul. Now he's, of course, back in the game. But he's got help from Henry, who will play Johns inside, I would imagine, if they're in man-to-man.
72% free throw shooter is Jayden Nunn this season, as Henry will take a seat for the Patriots, and Justin Fernandez back in.
Fernandez, good-looking freshman. That's why he started tonight with Polite out.
I believe he has some family and friends from that Monacan Chief area here tonight to watch him play. Played his first 3 years of high school at Monacan, and then transferred to IMG down in Florida. Nunn hits both. The lead back to 11.
You know, IMG Academy started as a tennis camp. Nick Bollettieri, who just passed away, the great tennis coach who coached, among others, Andre Agassi and Jim Courier, had a tennis camp in Bradenton, Florida, and IMG bought him out and just built it up. Football, basketball, swimming, tennis, everything.
Another man who played basketball in high school ranks in our area, Armando Baycott, also transferred to IMG. Another turnover. Here's Nick Kern. A little bit out of control and an offensive foul.
And you called it exactly right. He was a little bit out of control, and that's why it's an offensive foul. It's pretty simple.
And face down, and now up is Devon Cooper, who drew that charge.
Mason really can't afford to lose another perimeter player with Polite out.
Yeah, I guess that was also another game time decision, because Devontae Gaines, who they call Ticket, he was a game time decision, and they said, no, he will not play tonight. They're looking at possibly the game against Loyola on February 4th for his return to Mesa's lineup.
Another 10 days away. Loyola new to the Atlantic 10 this year, not having a good debut season. Unlike VCU and Davidson, which both had great debut
yeah.
seasons when they joined the league.
In fact, since VCU has joined the league, they have the best winning percentage of any team in the A-10. Under 10 to shoot for the Patriots. Oduro has it against Johns. Shot clock's at 1. Oduro found 2.
Tough shot. That's why he's so hard to guard. He's not in the low post. He had to handle. He turned around, knew exactly where the shot clock was, and scores again.
13 first half points. He's got more than half of Mason's 21.
He's matched his number.
Nice vision by the Rams. Here's Nunn for 3.
It was good ball movement. They just didn't finish.
Long rebound picked up by Mason. Actually, Cloggety called a double dribble.
Double dribble? I didn't know that rule still existed.
Timeout on the floor. 3:10 to go in the first half, and VCU leading by 9 over George Mason. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein here with you at the Siegel Center with VCU leading 30-21 against George Mason, who has some problems holding on to the ball recently. They've had 4 turnovers in their last 3:21, and VCU one of the best in the nation in turnovers forced. They average almost 18 turnovers forced this season per game.
7th in the country.
Okay. They must have gone up there. My last sheet had 13th in the country, but I'm going to go with you.
7th is what I was told yesterday.
They were number 1 in the A-10.
Either way, they're number 1.
They're one of the best in the country in forcing turnovers.
What's interesting here, Josh Oduro has 13 points. He's done everything you can ask of him, but the rest of his teammates only have 8. And he's made 6 out of 7, and the rest of the team is 3 for 14, which is 3 for 16, excuse me, which, by the way, is not good.
They're 9 of 23 collectively, just under 40% in the first half. Here's Watkins inside.
Nice move by Watkins.
Plus the foul is Saquon Singleton gets called for the personal. That's his first. Jameer Watkins, again, playing well, just like he did Friday against Richmond. We'll get a chance at a 3-point play.
Again, he's just not forcing things. He gets an opening, sees space, and goes to the basket and scores and gets fouled.
Team's 3rd leading scorer at 10.5 per night. Coming off his 3rd career double-double in the win against Richmond, 15 and 10. He was our player to watch for VCU tonight. He's got 6, and it's a 12-point VCU lead.
He's now made 7 field goals in the last game and a half.
Singleton
nice
with a strong move.
Singleton after making 7 field goals in the previous 4 games. And he's made those 7 field goals on 11 shots. That's very efficient.
Nice pass to Johns for the strong finish.
Excellent pass there by Watkins.
Johns' first field goal of the night. Another high percentage shot in the paint for VCU, back up by 12. Almost a turnover. They left Bailey open for 3.
Got away with one there because Bailey usually makes that shot. And
Oduro
got stripped from
away.
behind by Nunn. That's what big guys always have to be careful about when they get an offensive rebound, is putting it on the floor.
Here's Nunn with the mid-range shot.
Kim English may want a timeout here.
Nunn now with 9 is VCU's largest lead of the night at 14.
Like I said, he may want a timeout.
Bailey couldn't control it. It goes out of bounds.
He started to form the hands to call the timeout and decided against it. I don't know why you wouldn't call it here with 1:45 left.
That last pass by Watkins and the finish by Brandon Johns. VCU being very unselfish with the basket. 7 assists on 13 made field goals so far in this first half. Here's Johns against Oduro.
Boy, that looked like a walk. Now Kim English wants timeout.
He signaled it to Justin Porterfield.
Well, but the player has to call it. They want to get it across midcourt.
And he gets a timeout. And now Baldwin and Dinkins and Shriver having a few words.
Well, Dinkins reached in, Baldwin reached in for the ball there after the timeout was called, and Dinkins objected to that. And, of course, the Mason players are very frustrated right now, so they overreacted. And now they're going to look at, I don't think they should call anything here, but they're going to take a look. Watch here. Kim English wants timeout. Oh, this is before the shot. See, that looked like a walk to me. I mean, jeepers. Even Michael Jordan might have gotten called for a walk there.
I don't know about that.
I said might. But
and then we get to the timeout. It'll come right across half court.
He calls timeout, and Shriver reaches in, and then some words exchanged. The officials got there quickly. So did the coaches.
Because you can ill afford to get somebody ejected.
No.
In a game like this, it could change the momentum from one side to the other. And now Justin Porterfield, I think, is going to come and talk to you about what we got here.
Let's see what we have.
John, as VCU leading by 16 here with a minute 18 to go.
And 35 for pushing. So we're going to get them both. Got it both.
You may have heard Justin Porterfield speak to John Feinstein. I'll let you get that.
Well, Justin Porterfield says they called fouls after the whistle on both Shriver and on who had the ball?
Oh, Dinkins.
Dinkins.
So double text. And so each will get a personal, each will get a team foul. So that's 17 fouls on VCU, 9 for Mason, and both will get one personal foul. Dinkins now with 2 personal fouls.
And we won't shoot because there were it's like in football, where you're offsetting fouls.
And we won't go to the arrow because George Mason had possession. They called the timeout.
Right.
So they
arrow
retain
stays
it.
the same.
So everything is in order with a minute 18 to go. No ejections, nothing of that nature.
And good job by the officials and the coaches getting there quickly.
Mike Rose, I mean, he went back to his playing days. He got in between the guys.
He was a very quick guard.
He sure was. National Player of the Year in college.
He became a head coach when he was about 14.
Almost a steal as Cooper got on the floor.
That's
and now a held ball that will favor VCU.
Yep. The arrow not changing turned out to be significant.
That's exactly right. That is a big break on that double technical foul. The arrow did not change.
And Mason really struggling with its offense right now. And they only have 23 points. They have had trouble in the past. They only scored 15 against George Washington in the first half a week ago. Scored 50 in the second half. So they're still dangerous.
Mason with 5 turnovers in the last 3 minutes. VCU in the midst of a 6-0 run. Here's Shriver. Ball deflected by Oduro. Baldwin has it against Josh. 10 to shoot now for the Rams. The 3 grazing the rim. Deflected by Shriver.
Apparently it didn't.
No, it didn't. The shot clock did not reset. VCU will get it with 2 to shoot. I thought it may have partially grazed the front part of the rim.
I actually thought so too, but the 3 guys in stripes matter more than we do. So everybody has a play here with the shot clock down low. See if they go to the middle or go to the perimeter. Go to the perimeter for a quick shot, good defense, and see that right there, I would have just kept playing.
Because Singleton had a breakaway.
Good defense by George Mason there on a critical possession. They need a basket here. The shot clock and the game clock virtually identical.
But the game clock is a half a second ahead.
Well, that's virtually.
Can Mason get a basket to break this 6-0 run?
And Mason gets the ball first in the second half, so this would be a big basket for them.
Here's Cooper against Watkins.
Great defense. Great defense.
And that'll end the first half.
They had no chance to get a good shot off.
Defense paying off for VCU as they held Mason to 40% from the field, 20% from distance. And we'll talk more about the stats as halftime is here at the Siegel Center with VCU ahead by 16. Glad you could join us for VCU basketball as the Rams and Patriots are about to begin the second half. Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, our entire Rams Unlimited crew. VCU 20 minutes away from sole possession of first place in the Atlantic 10 as they lead by 16. As we see both starting 5s on the floor. Oduro with 13. Felt a double team, broke it. Had his shot partially blocked. Cooper saves it. Nice deflection by Nunn into Baldwin's hands.
That was good defense. They doubled Oduro, and even though they backed it off, Oduro still quick shot and airballed it from a couple feet.
Baldwin off of the Deloach screen. First shot of the half, in and out. And Oduro the rebound. As we saw those first half numbers, we only saw one rebound.
And it was an offensive rebound. That's his first defensive rebound of the game. That's surprising.
Fernandez scoreless in the first 20 minutes.
Starting in place of Polite. Mason also without Devontae Gaines.
Bailey missed that three as that was halfway down and out. And now we've got a conference between Tim Clargerty and Ted Valentine.
See, that's good officiating because Ted Valentine did not have as good an angle there on the baseline on who the ball went out on, and Tim Clargerty came in and helped him out.
And VCU gets the ball back. 1 minute gone by in the half. Nunn led the way with 9 for VCU in the first 20 minutes. Here is Kern. Another offensive foul called by Tim Clargerty on Nick Kern.
Drove right into him, and let's give the officials credit. They've been consistent tonight. That kind of contact has been a charge every time, I think.
Second on Kern, both on offensive fouls.
That's all coaches ask for. Be consistent. Don't call it a charge at one end and a block at the other end.
9 turnovers for VCU so far. George Mason with a dozen. And we talked about how VCU forces turnovers. They're one of the nation's best in that category this year. Almost 18 forced turnovers a night. Here's Fernandez open for 3.
Yeah, he's a good young player. It's the first shot he's hit tonight.
Highest rated George Mason recruit since 2011 scores his first field goal.
I don't care how highly rated he was. He can play.
He can play.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. Can you play?
Here's Nunn from mid-range.
Cooper, the rebound. Number 1 rated high school player according to the experts this year. The kid likely at Duke.
Probably.
He's not in the top 50 best freshmen in the country.
Kim English thought that was a goaltend. Nick Kern
I did too,
up and under.
I thought that was a goaltend too. I thought I saw a hand come through the hoop.
The entire George Mason bench stood up and thought that was goaltend, but the officials thought otherwise. The VCU up by 15 and a miscommunication there as Fernandez turned it over.
Fernandez and Oduro. Fernandez zigged and Oduro zagged. Oduro wasn't even looking for the ball.
But I remember talking to Coach English today in shoot-around. He said that turnover was not a bad one. You can throw it out of bounds. You can kick it in the stands.
Set up the defense. Set up the defense.
Anything other than a live ball turnover, he is happy with.
Well, they're closing in on that magic number of 15.
When it's 15 or more turnovers, they are a game below 500. And another offensive foul.
And again, there's that consistency. I think Tim Clargerty has made all those calls tonight.
He made both on Nick Kern. That's another one on Johns. His first foul. Nick Kern thought that was a flop. So did Mike Rhodes, and Clargerty said no.
Well,
he dipped the shoulder.
I will say this. I think Kern and Rhodes are a little biased. Excuse me.
Almost 3 minutes gone by here in the final 20 minutes.
Whoa, 1 basket apiece so far.
VCU leading by 15. They led by 13 at the break. Here's Oduro against Jayden Nunn. Around the perimeter to Bailey, who hits a 3.
See, that started with Oduro recognizing the open man on the perimeter, and then another good pass set Bailey up.
Mentioned earlier tonight, Bailey almost 50% from behind the arc. He was 46 of 94 before tonight. He's got his second from long range. Here's Johns.
Good defense there.
Kept it alive for Baldwin. Baldwin sneaks inside with the right hand and draws a foul.
Well, and that's sort of a bailout because Baldwin not nearly as good with the right hand as with the left. But he did draw the foul.
Devon Cooper gets called for the foul. His second.
It's easy to say sitting here, but if I'm a defender and I see Ace Baldwin go to the right, I'm like, go ahead. Shoot all you want.
He's still pretty good with the right.
But not nearly as good
as effective with his left. Baldwin sinks the free throw. He's got 5 so far in the night. 77% shooter this season, and we know all his accolades. First team preseason all A-10, second team all-conference last year, preseason all first team defense in the A-10.
Of course, he had Achilles surgery during the offseason. Got off to kind of a slow start, as did his team. Not coincidental.
Last year, yeah, missed the first 8 games last year as he was recovering from an Achilles. Missed 5 this year because of
the
wrist surgery.
Yeah.
Fernandez with the jump stop and muscles it in for 2.
That's what I mean by the fact that I think he's going to be a good player.
Fernandez with 5 so far, all in this half, as he was scoreless in the first 20 minutes. Again, miscommunication as Deloach thought Nunn was going through the back door.
Another zigzag play. You
And
were
out of bounds.
zigging and I was zagging.
Well, they're going to say George Masont touched that last. It'll stay
Wow.
with VCU.
Wow, that's a break for VCU. Still have 19 seconds on the shot clock. Plenty of time.
Ace Baldwin will inbound. Oduro stopped Nunn's move to the basket. Shot clock's at 10 for Deloach. Watkins cut off. And we've got a
Shriver.
whistle.
Yeah.
They're going to call 3-second violation
Wow.
on VCU.
We've seen a double dribble and a 3-second call tonight.
May not see that again in one game this year.
These are throwback officials.
Timeout on the floor, 15:47 to go in the game, and VCU leading by 12. Back here at the Siegel Center, a good look at VCU's huddle as they are up 43-31 over George Mason. They had this really fun promotion where we got these mustache.
You going to put that on?
Man, at the end of the game. It's in honor of David Shriver for his mustache.
Right.
So like the first 600 people, including us here at the table, have like these fake mustaches.
Well, we were definitely among the first 600 people in the building.
So they may want us to wear this at the end of the game. I'm not sure. I may put it up against my face, but I may not put it on.
Because they're very sticky.
They are sticky. Even TJ has his fake mustache as well. I don't know if he wore his during the pregame show tonight.
He
but
needs a fake mustache because he's not old enough to grow one.
Oh, to be that young again.
No, you're not kidding. My daughter keeps trying to get me to grow a beard.
Okay.
Not
As Oduro inside finding 2.
Nice pass.
Oduro came in averaging just under 15 points tonight. He surpassed his season average with 15. And it's only a 10-point lead. Remember, it was as high as 16 in this game.
16 at the half. Good defense there.
Oduro comes up with the steal. It went off of Shriver's back. Here's Nunn left open for 3. Baldwin races down the rebound to Deloach.
Oh, my
and he got
goodness.
fouled.
I can't believe he missed that dunk, fouled or not. But Oduro made a very good defensive play and then made a very bad offensive play. And that brought VCU back into the offensive end with numbers and eventually led to the attempted dunk and the foul.
Deloach shooting a career high in free throw percentage this season.
You jinxed him that time.
I didn't mention the number.
Hey, you jinxed him.
I didn't mention the number. I mentioned it's a career high, and I stand by that.
We're going to do a poll.
Now he was shooting 62% on the season. That is his career high.
Which is still not very high.
It's not very high, but for him, we'll give him that.
Yeah. 1 out of 2 here would be fine.
You
And
got
got
that.
1 out of 2.
Deloach now with 7. The lead back to 11. Baldwin guarded Bailey.
That is work for Bailey. Even though the 5-second call for close guarding doesn't exist anymore.
Not having Polite has been huge for George Mason.
Polite
That extra
and
ball.
Gates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oduro inside, and they're going to get a blocking foul on either Deloach or Shriver.
Before the shot. And that's foul number
That's
3.
Deloach's 3rd, and remember he picked up the tech in the first half, so that was also a personal. So he has 3, and now Brandon Johns off the bench will come in for VCU to replace Deloach. There was a stretch where He had fouled out in, I think, 2 of 4 games, speaking of Jaylen, as Bailey's 3 was a miss. The rebound to VCU.
See, that was a moment where Watkins got the rebound, but it was actually Shriver with the box out. Nice team rebound.
Here's Watkins for 3.
And that's a team 3 for Watkins.
Team's 3rd leading scorer now has 9 and is back to a 14-point VCU lead.
Again, he's just not forcing things the way he was in that 4-game stretch. And give Mike Rhodes a lot of credit. He said he's been talking to players more one-on-one this year because it helps them feel confident in him. Nice near steal there.
And a great save by Watkins.
Great play by Watkins. But also he thinks it's just good for the players to talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Johns and Singleton both hit the floor hard. And they're going to say Johns landed on the baseline out of bounds.
I love it when fans boo who have absolutely no view of the play. They just don't like the call.
One thing that Rhodes has been pleased about in the last 4 to 5 games has been how VCU has defended the backboard.
Yeah, that's what he talked about, the improvement in rebounding. That's been a key. And just the comfort level that the players now have with one another that wasn't there in November. And you can't expect it to be there in November when you got 7 new players and you've lost your best player to the NBA.
Vince Williams got drafted by Memphis. Here's Singleton guarded by Watkins. Oduro.
Nice.
Give and go to Oduro against Shriver.
That was nice play.
17 for Josh Oduro.
John Stockton and Karl Malone would have been proud of that.
His season high was 26 against St. Louis earlier this year. Mason is within 12. Zeb Jackson back in for VCU, first time this half. Here's Baldwin. And tried to hit Shriver, and it's out of bounds.
Good job by the Mason defense surrounding Baldwin, putting him in a crowd, as Kim English said. And he kind of panicked, just threw it away.
14 turnovers now for VCU, 15 for Mason. Here's Bailey going inside, and the rebound to Johns.
They were 2-on-3 there, so it's one of those shots, if you're going to take it, you better make it.
Here's Johns underneath.
And that was a nice little give and go, too. Not as classic, but just as effective.
He had a look like, give me the ball right back, and Ace Baldwin obliged.
That's what good point guards do. There's a steal from behind.
VCU doesn't have numbers, and they'll wait for Baldwin.
John's doing it at both ends right now. That's a long shot, but that's what Shriver does.
68% in the last 5 games from 3.
I think that's the first 3 he's taken tonight.
It is. He's got 7, and the lead is at 17. Here's Bailey on the other end. Hits a 3 for George Mason.
That was an important answer for George Mason.
As it quiets the Rams crowd, Mason is within 14, as now Bailey has 9 so far for the Patriots. Oh, tried to no look to Brandon Johns and out of bounds. As we have a timeout on the floor. 11:46 to go. Is VCU up by 14 on George Mason. VCU with a 52-38 lead over George Mason. Sean Robertson along with John Feinstein and our entire Rams Unlimited crew as we're about to check out our Virginia Credit Union assists of the game. And who else? Ace to Jamil Watkins.
It's a pass that would get you yanked 30 years ago, cross court. Now it's just really good ball reversal to find an open shooter, which is exactly what they did.
The Virginia Credit Union assists of the game. With every VCU assist, Virginia Credit Union makes a donation to the Children's Hospital of Richmond at VCU. And right now, Baldwin has 6 of VCU's 11 assists tonight. He also has 6 rebounds and 6 points. We were talking during the break, the balance that VCU has. 2 players with 9, 3 players with 7, and Baldwin has 6. And they currently up 14 over George Mason as Oduro leads the way with 17 and looks for an assist, but Singleton couldn't finish, but will get 2 free throws.
Would have had one there. Nice pass.
He's one of the country's best assist makers at his size, 6'9" or taller.
He is a good passer.
Yeah.
He usually passes out of the post, but there he found Singleton open underneath.
Singleton will get 2 free throws, a 31% shooter.
That's not good. You can see why he doesn't put any legs into the free throw. At least he didn't there.
When I talked to Coach English earlier today, he said our free throw percentage is skewed because our guards can shoot great from the line, but it's our bigs that have had the problem shooting free throws this year.
It's going in. Nope, short again, no legs.
Deloach with the rebound. George Mason wanted to travel there, but no call on that. Deloach with just his 2nd rebound in the game. Shriver left open. In and out.
You do feel whenever he shoots it that it's going to go in, don't you?
Last 5 or 6 games it felt that way.
Yeah. Oh, good defense there.
Another deflection.
Got to reset the offense now. And
there's another deflection.
Ooh, that
could have
looked
been
like
a foul.
Singleton sent Watkins flying.
And that was right here in front of us. And
we had a good view.
Yes, he did. And it looked like Singleton, almost like that hockey elbow, knocked Watkins away, but no foul by Tim Clougherty, and George Mason will get it back.
It's funny because, the officials are under orders to call hand checks. And that was, like you said, almost a hockey elbow.
Oduro inside.
Wow, he made a really nice move. Looked like an easy layup for him.
VCU with the ball up by 14, making 16 and 1.
Nice drive there by Nunn. The help came too late.
That's just power there by Jayden Nunn.
The only thing worse than no help is help that comes late because it leads to a potential 3-point play.
Big time move by Jayden Nunn. He becomes the first Ram in double figures in the game with 11. And now we have Justin Porterfield.
We're going to look at something on replay here.
I would assume it's an elbow, but I don't know whose elbow. As now Josh Oduro is talking to Ted Valentine about something. Let's watch it again. Let's see what they would be looking at.
It was Singleton called for the foul, I believe.
That's weird, but all 3 officials are over there at the scores table checking out that last replay.
They're just trying to get me up I-95 as late as possible.
Traffic should be good. You should be fine.
Although I hope that accident that I saw coming down on the north side, which was terrible. There were like 8 police cars there and an ambulance and the whole deal. Hope that's cleared up.
I would hope so, too.
I hope everybody is all right, too.
Well, it did look like an elbow on that play. It looked like Jayden was fine with the elbow as he was going up for the shot. I don't know if it was a knee to a vulnerable area, perhaps, but like I said, they're all looking at the replay to see.
Usually unintentional.
Game clock. Look at the clock.
From what I've been told, it's now the game clock they're going to review as they will get that in order.
Well, let's look at the clock here. It was under 10, I think. No, it wasn't. My eyes aren't good enough.
Oh, it was actually continuing to run
kept running
after the
for
shot.
Several seconds.
So it might have been 6 or 7 seconds that ran off after the foul was called.
This is when replay kills me. When you're talking about 5 or 6 seconds with 10 plus left in the game, and it's 3 minutes to get it. Here comes Tim Clougherty.
In that last possession, the clock stopped for 17 seconds. We didn't realize it until we blew the whistle and then it started back. So we just looked at it in 17 seconds. So that's why we're taking the time off the game.
Officials giving us the word. It was, in fact, the game clock, and there was an issue with the clock before the last shot was attempted by Jayden Nunn, and it was a good amount of time that was.
The problem was at the other end because the game clock stopped for 17 seconds at the end and when George Mason had the ball. So now Tim just said they're going to take 17. Yeah, they took 16 seconds off. So it's now 10:25 left in the game. That's a big deal. That's something you do have to catch.
Almost 20 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, because if the game's close at the end, obviously those 16 seconds would make a big difference.
And that will happen from time to time. Little malfunction with the clock, but everything is in order. And Jayden Nunn will get a chance to complete a three-point play. Let's do the reset of the lineups for both teams as Nunn will be at the line. He has Watkins, Shriver, Zeb Jackson, and Jalen DeLoach. George Mason will have Dinkins along with Bailey, Fernandez, Oduro, and Henry, who check back in for George Mason as Nunn completes the three-point play. And it's a 17-point VCU lead, 55-38.
And Ace Baldwin getting a little bit of a rest here. My guess is he'll stay out till the next TV timeout.
And Jayden Nunn with great pressure on the ball on Bailey, who found a way to the basket, and now Ted Valentine
has a foul.
And they're going to call it a shooting foul, and it's going to be on Jayden Nunn.
If there was no foul, they would have called that a jump ball when it's stuck on the rim, and it would have been VCU ball. And instead, Bailey will shoot two.
Transfer from Tennessee. Two-time SEC Academic Honor Roll member. Shooting 80% from the line. He's one of those guards that was shooting really good from the line as he missed the first.
And Kim English, of course, has the Tennessee connection because he worked there for Rick Barnes when Bailey was first recruited there.
Also stops at Colorado and Tulsa before becoming the head coach last season at George Mason. Bailey splits a pair of free throws to pull George Mason to within 16.
Kim English is a young coach who's going to be a star, whether it's George Mason or someplace else. And he's got it all.
I joke with him to say, did your players knew how good a player you were?
They never know.
He said, I show him from time to time. Shriver from the corner hits a three.
This is starting to get out of hand now.
Shriver in double figures with 10.
He didn't take a three-point shot in the first half.
He didn't. Very surprising.
A lot of contact there. Wow.
El Giaco couldn't finish inside. Here's Watkins. Good thought, but Fernandez had better defense and goes right to the rim.
Yeah, wow. That was a terrific play by Fernandez. Jumps up, steals the ball, grabs it, goes the length of the court, and dunks. High percentage shot.
7 for Fernandez. Lead is at 17. Here's Nunn left open for three. Ogiaco the rebound. You notice how two guys are now coming to Shriver every time he gets the ball.
Understandable.
Offensive foul called on Oduro.
And that, I believe, is only his second foul. He had one early in the game.
You're right.
And hasn't had one since, which is a good thing for George Mason, but there's not much good going on for them right now.
And also, I noticed when we watched that last replay, as soon as Shriver releases, the bench stands and the crowd rises up.
Expect it to go in.
This is what the fans were expecting when he first arrived at VCU, a career 40-plus three-point shooter from his time at Hartford and at Alderson Broadus. And he is right now at 40% this season from long range.
He was taking a step up in terms of quality of competition when he arrived here. It took him a little while to adjust, and now he's adjusted.
He's adjusted. And the players never lost confidence. Ace Baldwin mentioned that. We always told him to keep shooting, it's going to come.
Well, I'm sure they saw him shoot in practice, and they knew he could make shots.
Here is Johns. Good move to the rim.
Nice move. That was a pro move.
9 for Brandon Johns. That's a 19-point lead. Dinkins brings it up against Zeb Jackson. And here's Cooper. Fades away. Ball with the rebound.
Hasn't made a field goal tonight.
Cooper's 0 of 7 from the field.
Again, they needed help for Oduro tonight, and they just haven't gotten nearly enough of it.
Here's Jackson from the free throw line.
It was good defense by Bailey.
DeLoach kept it alive for Baldwin, and a reset for VCU, up by 19. Shot clock is under 10. Here's Jackson to DeLoach with 4 to shoot. And Johnson offensive rebound.
Might as well kick it back out. Kill some clock.
They did with
charge.
Ace Baldwin.
I think.
No, it's going to be a blocking
they called
foul.
It a block. That's the first time all night they've called the block charge a block.
Well, Tim Cloggany definitely.
Yeah.
As Ace Baldwin will get a chance to complete a three-point play when we come back, as the lead ballooned to 21 when we come back. .722 left in the game, and right now it is all VCU in this second half as they lead 62-41 over George Mason, Sean Robertson, John Feinstein, our entire Rams Unlimited crew. First of a 2-game homestand for the Rams as they will host St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure
Saturday.
losing to Fordham tonight. Fordham, another one of those teams that's improved greatly.
Yeah. Before next week, they got 3 daunting games. Speaking of VCU, they go to Davidson, they go to St. Louis, and then Dayton comes here for the rematch a week from Tuesday. That rematch in which VCU trailed by as many as 16 and came back
huge win.
to win there at the Dayton Arena as Baldwin completes the three-point play.
It's one of the best college basketball venues in the country.
Oh, yeah.
UD Arena.
In for the first time for George Mason, Blake Jones from out of Australia. In for Coach English. Coming up on 7 minutes to go here in regulation. Shot clock under 10 for Oduro.
Boy,
And they got a foul.
He spun right into a double team there, but they called the foul.
And that's Jalen's 4th foul of the night. As he becomes the first Ram to hit the danger zone, David Shriver immediately off the bench and to the scorer's table as he will come in for DeLoach after Oduro's first attempt. 17 points tonight for Josh. 8 of 11 from the field. And now 2 of 3 from the line as DeLoach will take a seat.
It's nice when you have to bring someone like DeLoach out and you can bring Shriver in for him. That's one of the strengths of this team, is that Mike Rhodes has a lot of guys he can play and who can play effectively.
19 now for Josh Oduro. He came in averaging just under 15 points a game.
He's got 19. His teammates have 24.
Coming off a 24-point outing against Rhode Island.
24, 14, and 7 in that game. He was tremendous, and that was a big road win for Mason.
And he's averaging over 21 in his last 5 games. Lead is at 20. Here's Jackson. Nice find to Johns.
That was a nice find. Very heads-up play by Jackson. Good interior passing there.
Coach Rose always says if the ball doesn't stick, we are a really, really good basketball team.
He was concerned about shot selection tonight, and it's been excellent for most of the game.
14 assists on 23 made baskets. Bailey with a tough shot over Johns.
He is a very good shooter. Like I said, his best games have been George Mason's best games. Not coincidence. Because Oduro's there every night.
Bailey with 12.
Another nice pass. I don't know. I think the backboard blocked that, not Bailey.
At the bottom of the backboard.
Yep.
And now George Mason with another chance. Here is Jones against Johns, and it
Just
goes
drilled
off
right
his
off
foot.
his foot. Many ways that sums up their night. And now he's complaining to Oduro, which I don't think is very appropriate.
That's the wrong guy you're going to complain to. Is now
especially
Oduro.
when you just dribble the ball off your foot.
Oduro will take a seat here with 5:38 to go, down by 20. As now in for the first time is Elvis Najee, wearing number 23 from out of Minnesota, as Jackson
foul.
hits the deck hard. And they're going to call Fernandez.
It's the last non-shooting foul of the night for either team.
Both teams with 16 fouls. Pretty much a pretty clean second half for the most part. Not a lot of free throws shot by either team. VCU's got numbers here, 2-on-1. Here's Johns.
I think the rim blocked that one.
Might have. Dinkins raced down the ball for George Masont.
Good defense by the backboard and the rim on the last two possessions for VCU.
Najee had his shot blocked, but also fouled by Johns.
Johns knew it. No argument.
A little bit of an argument by Coach Rhodes. He was like on the other end. He got hacked, no whistle.
Well, that's that consistency thing that coaches ask for.
So Elvis Najee at the line to shoot two.
That one could have brought rain.
His cousin played in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. Cousin Zeke, his uncle Obi.
Another one could have drawn rain and drew rim.
His uncle Obi played college ball at the University of Florida.
I wonder if he played for Billy Donovan. I noticed for the first time the other night, because I'm not alert to things often, is that the court is now named for Billy Donovan in Florida.
Billy Donovan's court?
Yeah, it should be. 2 national championships back-to-back,
Yeah.
4 Final Fours, excuse me.
I want to say Florida is still the last team to win back-to-back
They
national
are.
championships.
They are.
That was the Jakeem Noah, Al Hortford teams.
It was. There's only been 2 teams that have won back-to-back since John Wooden retired. Duke did it in 91 and 92, and then Florida did it 06 and 07.
Yep.
And it's especially hard to do now because players have that sort of success. They're going to go to the NBA.
And also the transfer portal.
Transfer
That
portal.
changes up things.
Yep, does.
Jackson hits both. I wonder if I don't want to say it'll never happen, but I think that's going to be a feat that Florida will continue to have for
a while.
For
Sort
a
of
while.
like Indiana's undefeated
Yeah.
season in 76.
Gonzaga came really, really close.
Got within 1 game and
Yep.
then got blown out.
Got blown out.
Oh, boy, that game was over after the second TV timeout. Whoa,
And a
strong.
turnover by Najee.
And I'm watching Adam Jones. I'm not familiar with him because he doesn't play that much, but I don't love his body language.
Young man played with the Australian junior national team, a 2-time under-20 national champion MVP.
It's a different level.
Yeah, a little bit. That's a rare feat. Only Patty Mills.
Now, Patty Mills played in the NBA. He was pretty good.
He and Patty Mills are the only 2-time Australian under-20 national champion MVPs who just got the rebound as he hit the floor.
It was a good rebound.
Coming up on 4 minutes to go as we're inside money time in this second half, and VCU up by 22 on George Masont.
I think the check has already been cashed.
Dinkins said, wait a minute.
No,
I hit a 3. We're down to 19.
that is what he said.
Jackson kept his footing as Fernandez was bodying him up. Shriver left open for 3. Ring it up.
And he was left open. And that's a mistake. It's just a flat-out mistake.
Those row of bleachers right behind VCU's bench stood up immediately after he released that 3. And he's got 13 on the night.
9 in the second half, all threes.
Inside to Henry, had it partially blocked, and another whistle. That might have been Johns again on the foul, and that brings us to our last timeout. 3:31 left in the game, and VCU in command. 31 left in the game. It appears VCU will hold on as they're up 22 on George Mason, and if that's the case, they will hold a half-game lead on St. Louis.
2 games left to play against the Billikens.
That's right.
Should be noted. They also play Dayton again here.
St. Louis, their next game will be Friday night at Davidson. Part of that ESPN Friday night showcase, sponsored by the A10. But VCU with a win tonight will be 7-1 in the conference and will improve their winning streak to 6 and would be 12-1 here at the Siegel Center.
And we'll have won 11 of 12 everywhere.
Yep. I mentioned Saturday, St. Bonaventure comes here for a 6 o'clock tip. Then 3 of their next 4 will be on the road at Davidson, at St. Louis, a home date against Dayton on February 7th, and then they go to Rhode Island on February 15th. Malik Henry to shoot 2 free throws for George Mason. Looked good on that first attempt. The Patriots, after tonight, they'll get 2 home games back at Eagle Bank Arena, where they're pretty good at home, 10-1.
Yeah.
This year. They got St.
The only
Joseph's.
loss was GW.
They got St. Joseph's and UMass before they have 2 consecutive road games at Loyola Chicago and Duquesne. And Duquesne is playing Loyola Chicago tonight.
Yep, and they're up 5.
After trailing at the half, they had outscored Duquesne by 14 in the second half. Here is a 20-point VCU lead as we're inside 3.5 minutes. Ace back in, running the show with Zeb Jackson, Shriver, Deloach, and Nick Kern.
Mason trying to attack out of their man-to-man here to lengthen the game, excuse me. Jones with another rebound. He's showing me.
Looked like it was almost a walk there as Henry inside scores.
But I think he gets an assist on that basket.
He does. Henry with 4 now, and it's an 18-point George Mason lead.
VCU lead.
VCU lead.
Let's not panic anybody.
They're
Nice
down 18.
drive. Ooh,
Good block by Henry.
That sure
Deloach
was.
has it. Shriver with the head fake. Nice look inside to Deloach. Extra pass to Baldwin. Skip pass to Jackson. And he'll go right to the rim.
Beat his man, no help. And good patience there by the Rams. Another, what's called a skip pass now. In my day, it was called a come sit on the bench pass. But they are part of the game, very much so. Good, that's good ball reversal there.
Every Ram touched the ball on that possession. Here's Cam Johnson with the missed 3. Baldwin the rebound. Up ahead to Deloach. Offensive foul.
That was going to be a charge all the way.
A little bit out of control, and Deloach has just fouled out.
A little out of control, and he put his shoulder down. That's a deadly combination when you have the basketball.
So Johns back in as Kearns will take a seat. Remember, started off strong in his second half, did Brandon Johns.
Yeah, he was very quiet in the first half until the last minute.
He got warm in the early part of the second half. Jameer Watkins back in as well for VCU. Inside 2 minutes in this game. Baldwin almost got a steal against Jones. Johnson has it with under 10 to shoot. Jones for 3. Rebound to Watkins.
Patty Mills would have made that shot.
And Cam Johnson with the foul. Patty with the Brooklyn Nets of the NBA now involved
the Spurs.
Won a world championship with the Spurs, and some trade rumors as he possibly could be on the move.
You know more about the NBA than I do. But most people know more about the NBA than I do.
Ace Baldwin will get a standing ovation as he will exit the game. He'll lead with 9 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists as Watkins missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Continuing to play well. Speaking of Ace Baldwin, He may not score a lot, but he's got his fingerprints on every other aspect of the game.
As I said earlier in the game, he's a guy who has good stats, but he's a better player than the stats indicate. And a lot of that is his defense. Even when he doesn't steal the ball, he makes the other point guard crazy. And that's a big-time skill.
And it was a perfect example in the first half of this game. He basically, by himself, forced a 10-second violation on George Masont.
Yep. And he had other deflections, and he just does so many different things.
Inside a minute.
It's not a coincidence that the Rams started playing better when he got healthy.
Henry with 2 to shoot over Johns. And VCU the rebound.
I think Kim English is telling his guys to back off and not foul. There's still a 14-second difference on the shot clock and the game clock, but they'll run it down.
It'll be 6 wins in a row for VCU and 11 of their last 12. Shriver. The rebound to Cam Johnson. It's almost like everybody exhaled as Watkins comes up with another deflection. Another thing I've noticed, and I mean, obviously, you know, it probably will be because of the winning streak and them doing so well. You see them having more fun. You see more smiles.
Winning is fun.
Winning is fun, absolutely. But even early when they were winning some games, you didn't see a lot of guys smiling. But in this stretch,
yeah. Well, they're a team that does get along, and Mike Rhodes isn't one of these coaches that goes around saying we're family, but his guys are close to one another.
Furman with the block on Cam Johnson.
And that'll be the game.
As VCU, the winning streak continues. 72-52 over George Masont. 6 wins in a row. 11 of their last 12. And right now holds a half-game lead on St. Louis for first in the Atlantic 10. We'll come back and wrap it up from the Siegel Center as you're watching VCU basketball from Rams Unlimited.